If you're watching this, I'm probably dead. You have to know what really happens at the Serenity Cove Resort. They're watching me. The staff, they're always smiling. They call this place Isla Perdida, the Lost Island. I thought it was just a cool name. But people get lost here. They don't leave. Please don't let them delete this. Don't let them erase me. The legacy program. It's real. Hey my glow-getters. It's your girl Lexi, and welcome to the most exclusive, most luxurious, most insane place I have ever been. For the next week, this is home. The Serenity Cove Resort on the private island of Isla Perdida. I'm talking over-water bungalows, personal butlers, a Michelin-starred restaurant. Seriously, pinch me, I must be dreaming. My journey here was wild. After a flight to this tiny coastal airstrip, the resort's private seaplane picked me up. Yes, a seaplane. Flying over the ocean and seeing this tiny emerald green island appear out of the blue. Literally. Was a moment I will never ever forget. They told me Isla Perdida means the lost island, since it's so remote and untouched. The ultimate getaway from everything. And let me tell you, from the second I stepped on the dock, it has been pure 5-star perfection. The first thing you notice is the quiet. Not a dead quiet, but a living one. You hear the gentle lapping of waves, the rustle of palm fronds, the distant call of some exotic bird. It's like the island is breathing around you. And the staff. Oh my gosh, the staff. They greeted me with cool towels, a glass of something bubbly and floral, and the warmest smiles I have ever seen. My personal host Marco is an absolute gem. He's the resort manager, but he treats every guest like they're the only person on the island. He has this calm, reassuring vibe, and he told me, "Miss Collins, for the next 7 days, your only job is to exist. We'll take care of the rest." I think I could get used to that. He showed me to my bungalow, and when I say bungalow, I mean a palace on stilts. It has a sprawling deck with a private infinity pool that just melts into the ocean. There's a glass floor in the living room so you can watch fish swim right under you. The bed is bigger than my first apartment, and the bathroom. It has an outdoor shower surrounded by orchids. Every single detail is designed for pure, unapologetic luxury. This isn't just a vacation. It's an experience. They have this thing they call holistic serenity. It's about disconnecting from all the noise and reconnecting with yourself. They explained that the Wi-Fi is intentionally weak and only in the main lounge to encourage you to put your phone away. At first, the influencer in me had a tiny panic attack, but honestly, it's kind of liberating. It forces you to actually be present. My first evening, I had dinner at the Pearl, their famous Michelin-starred restaurant. It's this beautiful open-air pavilion right on the beach. I had a 7-course tasting menu that was more like art than food. Scallops that tasted like they were plucked from the sea 2 minutes ago, Wagyu beef that melted on my tongue, and a dessert that looked like a deconstructed coral reef. Marco even stopped by my table to check in. His smile as perfect as ever. He asked about my flight, my room, my goals for the week. It felt so personal, so curated. He introduced me to another guest dining alone nearby, an older man named Jensen. He had kind but tired eyes. He mentioned he was in tech, just retired, and this trip was a gift to himself for a lifetime of work. He seemed a little jumpy. He kept glancing around, but I just figured he was a city guy not used to the quiet. We had a nice short chat. He said he was looking forward to the guided rock climbing excursion the next day. The next few days were just a blur of perfect moments, all captured for the feed, of course. Sunrise yoga on a cliff overlooking the ocean. A guided snorkel tour through the most vibrant coral reefs I've ever seen. A deep tissue massage at the spa where the room was open to the sea so you could hear the waves. I spent hours lounging on my private deck, soaking in the sun, feeling all the stress of my normal life just melt away. This place was flawless. The staff anticipated my every need. A fresh drink would appear just as I was feeling thirsty. My favorite snacks were restocked in the minibar. Marco was always somewhere nearby, gliding by on a golf cart with a little wave and that signature warm smile. It was all so seamless. Maybe too seamless. But I pushed that thought away. Why question paradise, right? I was documenting everything and my followers were eating it up. My DMs were flooded. "OMG, you're in heaven," one wrote. "Add this to my bucket list," said another. I was crafting the perfect story. Girl boss works hard, earns her escape, finds the most beautiful place on earth. It was a story I was telling myself too. And I completely believed it. One afternoon I decided to go a little off the beaten path. The main beach was amazing, but Marco had mentioned a smaller, secluded cove on the northern tip of the island. He said it was a bit of a hike but worth it. Hidden gem. That sounded like perfect content. So I packed a small bag, my camera, and headed out. The trail was more of a suggestion than a path, winding through dense jungle. After about 20 minutes I found it. A perfect crescent of white sand, framed by dark volcanic rocks and water so clear it looked like liquid glass. And it was completely empty. My own private piece of paradise. I spent an hour there taking photos. As I was setting up my tripod for one of those staring thoughtfully at the ocean shots, I saw something wedged between two big rocks near the water. It was black and boxy, covered in some seaweed. Curiosity got the better of me. I scrambled over and pulled it free. It was a GoPro, or what was left of one. The case was cracked, the lens shattered. It looked like it had been through hell. I figured a guest must have lost it and I should turn it in. But then I saw a small, faint red light blinking on its side. Still had some power. And inside the busted housing, the memory card looked safe. Back in my bungalow, this weird feeling started creeping in. What could be on it? I carefully slid the microSD card into my laptop. The file directory opened. There were dozens of clips. I clicked on the most recent one. And that's when my dream vacation started to die. The video that flickered to life was shaky, with muffled sounds of wind and heavy breathing. It was clearly from a helmet cam. The view was high up, looking down at hands gripping a rock face. A rock climbing trip. I immediately thought of Jensen, the man from dinner. The climber in the video grunted, pulling himself up. You could hear another voice, a guide maybe, encouraging him from a distance. The climber reached a ledge and paused, and the camera panned out to show the spectacular, terrifying view. Then it panned down toward the safety harness. That's when I saw it. The footage glitched, but it was unmistakable. A carabiner, the main clip holding him to the safety rope, was moving. Not by accident. It was being twisted open, slowly, by a hand barely visible at the edge of the frame. A hand in a black glove. The climber didn't notice. He took a deep breath and pushed off the ledge to keep climbing. For a split second the rope held. And then, with a sick metallic click, the carabiner gave way. The camera view just plunged. Sky and rock and sea became a spinning, nauseating blur. There was a single, choked-off scream. Then a final, brutal crunch. And blackness. The video ended. I just sat there, my heart hammering against my ribs, hands trembling. I slammed the laptop shut. This had to be a mistake. Prank. Some horrible fake video. Couldn't be real. I tried to be rational. Just a video. Means nothing. I tried to go back to my routine, editing a few photos, writing a bubbly caption about my adventure to the secret cove. The words felt like ash in my mouth. The smiling girl in the photos looked like a complete stranger. Later I forced myself to go to dinner. I needed to feel normal again. I looked for Jensen, the retired tech guy. His table was empty. When Marco glided over, his smile as bright as ever, I asked him about it. "Oh, Mr. Jensen," Marco said, his voice smooth as silk. "He checked out this morning. A family matter required him to return home unexpectedly. It was very sudden. A cold dread washed over me. He checked out. But I thought he was here for the week. He went rock climbing yesterday, right?" Marco's smile didn't flicker, but I saw his eyes harden for just a second. Yes, he very much enjoyed the excursion. We were sad to see him go so soon. The island isn't for everyone, I suppose. He then seamlessly changed the subject, asking what I wanted for dinner, if my room was okay. The conversation was a pleasant, polite wall I couldn't get past. Back in the bungalow, my mind was racing. A man goes rock climbing. The next day, he suddenly checks out for a family emergency. And I have a video of a man falling to his death while rock climbing. It couldn't be a coincidence. My first instinct was to get online. Search for news about accidents here, look up Jensen, find something. I took my laptop to the main lounge, the only place with Wi-Fi. I sat down and tried to search. Accident at Serenity Cove. Isla Perdida death. The page loaded, and loaded, and loaded. The connection was agonizingly slow. Then an error page. Network connection timed out. I tried again. Same thing. I tried searching for something totally random. Google's homepage wouldn't even load right. It was that weak Wi-Fi they advertised, but this felt different. Deliberate. Just strong enough to check an email, but not strong enough to do any real research. Or to upload a large video file. Real, tangible panic started to set in. I was on a remote island, completely cut off. These smiling, helpful people. What were they hiding? The resort, once a paradise, now felt like a gilded cage. The ever-present staff no longer seemed attentive. They seemed like guards. Their smiles no longer felt warm. They felt like masks. The next day, I knew I had to get out. I packed my bags, my hands shaking so badly I could barely zip the suitcase. I walked to the front desk, trying to act calm. "Hi," I started, my voice way too tight. "I have a bit of a family emergency. I need to leave today. As soon as possible." I was using the same excuse Marco gave me for Jensen. The woman at the counter gave me this wide, sympathetic smile. "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Let me see what we can do." She tapped on her computer. "Oh, that is a shame," she said, looking up with practiced pity. "It seems our seaplane is undergoing unscheduled maintenance today. And all our private boats are being used for a corporate retreat that has them booked for the next 3 days. 3 days. My voice cracked. "No, you don't understand. I have to leave now." "I'm so sorry," she said, her voice dripping with fake regret. "There's nothing I can do. The island is completely booked. There's no way off until Thursday." I was trapped. That night I couldn't sleep. The gentle waves under my bungalow didn't sound soothing anymore. They sounded like a warning. Kept seeing that video. The spinning. The crunch. I was clutching the GoPro's memory card. It was my only proof, but it also felt like my death warrant. Had to know more. Around 2 a.m., I slipped out of my bungalow, dressed in dark clothes. I snuck toward a building I'd noticed before, set back from the guest areas, marked staff only. I found a window in an office that was slightly ajar. Sweating, I slid the window open and hoisted myself inside. It was a small office with filing cabinets and a computer. I found a locked drawer and jimmied it open with a letter opener. Inside were these dark leather folders, each with just a name and a year. Pulled one out. Jensen, 2026. My blood ran cold. Opened it. It wasn't a guest file. It was a financial portfolio. A complete workup of Jensen's net worth, his investments, his assets, his lack of any close family. Tucked in the back was a document titled Legacy Program Finalization. It was a stack of legal forms pre-filled, transferring all of Jensen's assets to shell corporations. The signature was a near-perfect forgery. And at the bottom a chilling handwritten note. Asset ripe for harvest. Rock climbing incident scheduled. Proceed with Serenity Protocol. I frantically pulled out other files. A woman from 2024 who died in a tragic scuba diving accident. A couple from 2022 lost at sea, during a yachting trip. Each file was the same. A rich, lonely person, a financial breakdown, and a plan for a perfectly staged accidental death. This wasn't a resort. It was a farm. And the guests were the crop. I heard a sound outside, a golf cart. I shoved the files back, killed the lamp, and scrambled out the window just as 2 staff members walked by. My heart was going to explode. I didn't run back to my room. I knew it wasn't safe. I found an unlocked storage shed behind the kitchens and huddled in a corner. They knew. They had to know I was suspicious. My questions. My attempt to leave. They would be coming for me next. They were probably already planning my accident. A slip on a wet deck. A drowning in my beautiful pool. I couldn't call for help. I couldn't escape. But I'm an influencer. Have an audience. And I have the proof. I had to get the story out. It was the only way. Hiding in that suffocating shed, I came up with a desperate plan. They thought they'd cut me off from the world. They saw me as a silly girl with a camera, but my whole career is built on technology, on finding a signal where there is none. I still had all my gear, my phone's battery packs, and a small device I use for emergencies. It's a piece of kit journalists use in war zones that can stitch together tiny, weak signals into one stable connection, strong enough for a live stream. They throttled the internet, but they didn't kill it. They left a crack, and I was about to blow the door wide open. My plan: stage my own final broadcast. Expose the Serenity Protocol live. It was a dead man's switch. If I went silent, the stream would automatically save and get sent to my lawyer, some real investigative journalists, and a few hacktivist groups. If they killed me, they couldn't kill the story. The next day I didn't hide. I did the opposite. I went to the beach. I ordered a cocktail. I forced a smile at every staff member. I needed them to think I had given up. As I sat by the pool, Marco approached. The smile was there, but today I could see the predator in his eyes. "Miss Collins," he said, "I am so glad to see you're feeling more relaxed. I was worried you were not enjoying the serenity we offer." "I'm fine," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "You were right. It's better to just disconnect." His smile widened. "An excellent philosophy. Acceptance is the first step to true peace. In fact, we'd like to offer you a special complimentary dinner tonight. A private meal on your bungalow's deck. A final, perfect memory of Isla Perdida." Final memory. The threat was clear. My accident was scheduled for tonight. "I would love that," I said, meeting his eyes. I spent the afternoon turning my room into a studio. I hid my main phone, the one with the streaming device, in a hollowed-out book on a shelf, the lens peeking out, aimed at the deck. I set up 2 other cameras, one in a potted plant, one in the bed's canopy, all linked. I had the memory card, the proof, ready. As dusk fell, a staff member set up my private dinner. A table, a white tablecloth, a single candle. It was beautiful and deeply sinister. After he left, I started the live stream. A little counter told me I was live. People were already watching. I sat there picking at the food, waiting. Then footsteps on the deck. It was Marco. He wasn't carrying a food tray. He held a glass of wine in one hand. His other was behind his back. The smile was gone. His face was a blank mask. "Miss Collins," he said, his voice losing all its warmth, "I hope you enjoyed your meal." "I haven't really touched it," I said. "Lost my appetite." I gestured to the empty chair. "Join me, Marco. Let's talk about the legacy program." The mask cracked. Surprise, then anger, flashed across his face. He sat down. He brought his other hand forward. He was holding a syringe filled with a clear liquid. "You've been busy," he said softly. "A shame. I genuinely thought you were just a silly girl with a camera. You're more clever than you look. And you're a murderer," I shot back, my voice shaking. And I looked right into my hidden camera. "You and this entire resort. You lure wealthy, lonely people here. You call it paradise, but it's a processing plant. You find targets, you stage accidents, you forge their wills, and you harvest their assets." Jensen. The couple from 2022. The scuba diver. "How many more, Marco?" He actually leaned back, a flicker of pride in his eyes. "The Serenity Protocol is a bespoke service. We give them a perfect final week. We absorb their worldly burdens. In a way, it's a kindness. They die in the most beautiful place on earth, and their legacy continues to fund this paradise. It's a self-sustaining ecosystem. You call this an ecosystem? It's a slaughterhouse. I pushed the GoPro's memory card across the table. I have Jensen's final moments, Marco. Have the files. And right now we are live streaming to the world. Everyone is hearing this. Everyone sees you. He glanced around, a predator suddenly caught in a trap. He saw nothing. A clever bluff, Lexi. But your Wi-Fi is terrible, remember? You're screaming into the void. Try me, I said. He stared, calculating. Then his composure shattered. He lunged across the table. I kicked it over, sending everything crashing. I scrambled backward. He was fast. He grabbed my arm, his fingers like steel. The syringe glinted. You should have just enjoyed the sunset, he snarled, trying to press the needle to my neck. I fought back with everything I had. I slammed my heel into his knee. I bit his hand, tasted blood. He roared and threw me to the ground. My head hit the deck, the world swam. He was on top of me, his face a mask of pure fury. The stream was still running. They were all watching. With a final surge of adrenaline, my fingers closed around the heavy metal candle holder. I swung it with all my might, hitting the side of his head. He collapsed. I didn't wait. Ran. No bag, no passport, nothing. Just ran. Out of the bungalow, down the dock. Alarms started blaring across the resort. Staff were emerging, their smiling masks gone. I reached the seaplane dock. The plane was still there. I jumped in, fumbling in the dark cockpit. I saw them running down the dock towards me. I flicked switches randomly. The engine sputtered, coughed, and then roared to life. I had no idea what I was doing. I pulled a lever, and the plane lurched away from the dock just as they reached it. I was on the water, bouncing hard on the waves. I pushed the throttle forward, faster and faster, and pulled back on the yoke, praying. The impacts lessened. The sound changed. I looked out. The water was below me. I was airborne. I was flying. I flew into the blackness, leaving Isla Perdida behind. I don't know where I was going. I just knew I was free. The live stream was still running. The world was watching. They knew the truth. The live stream from Lexi Collins' account ran for 17 minutes before it was abruptly terminated. The archived footage went viral. An official investigation was launched, but the corporate owners of Serenity Cove, a network of untraceable shell companies, stonewalled all inquiries. By the time authorities reached Isla Perdida, it was deserted. The resort was stripped bare. The staff, including the man identified as Marco, had vanished. Lexi Collins was never seen again. 2 weeks after her disappearance, one final post appeared on her Instagram account. It was a beautiful photo of a sunset over a turquoise ocean, taken from a bungalow deck. This was a work of fiction. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental.